In a Kathmandu home, a mother watches her son put on his school uniform, a white shirt, blue trousers. For her, it's a symbol of safety, a promise that no harm will come to a child dressed for learning. She warns him to avoid the protests, but he reassures her. Nobody would harm children. He believes his uniform is a shield. This simple farewell would become a memory etched in the heart of a nation. In September 2025, parents across Nepal clung to the hope that uniforms separated children from conflict. But outside, the air was thick with frustration. Trust in leaders had worn thin. For Gen Z, government failures were daily realities, not distant news. The school uniform, once a symbol of innocence, was about to become a tragic emblem of betrayal. This is the story of a day when hope met the unyielding force of the state, a story we must remember for all the futures cut short. Quiet anger simmered in Nepal, not in parliament but in bedrooms lit by phone screens. 14 governments since 2008, endless broken promises and corruption everywhere. Youth unemployment forced many to leave home. Remittances kept the economy afloat. Gen Z found its voice on TikTok and Instagram, exposing political excess and inequality. Social media became their public square, their community. The government, threatened, responded by banning 26 platforms on September 4, 2025. The ban was meant to silence dissent, but it only fueled the fire. The digital movement spilled onto the streets. Leaders failed to see that social media was more than entertainment. It was identity. Taking it away was taking away their voice. The digital uprising was about to become a physical one. Hashtags turned into chants. The battle for Nepal's future was moving from screens to the streets. On September 8, 2025, thousands of students in white and blue uniforms converged at Maitigar Mandala. This was a leaderless movement, united by hope for change. Their chants called for justice, jobs, and an end to corruption. The uniforms sent a message. We are students. We are the future. We are not a threat. For hours, the protest felt like a festival of hope. Authorities saw a challenge to their power and erected barricades. At 11:30 a.m., a barricade was breached. Police responded with tear gas and water cannons. The peaceful gathering fractured. Confusion and fear spread. Students ran, uniforms soaked and dirtied. The line between protest and violence was crossed, not by the youth, but by the state. The storm that had been brewing for years finally broke. The first drops of a terrible rain began to fall. The innocence of the protest was lost in the chaos. The day's hope was turning to horror. The day that began with songs quickly descended into chaos. Tear gas and water cannons failed to disperse the crowd. Anger grew. Some threw stones, but most remained non-violent, trapped between police and panic. Suddenly, the sound of rubber bullets gave way to live ammunition. The state had chosen lethal force against its youth. Young bodies in school uniforms fell, students, not soldiers. Friends dragged the wounded to safety. The air was thick with gunpowder and cries. By sunset, 19 young lives were lost. These were not warning shots. They were meant to kill. The belief in the uniform's protection was shattered. The day ended with uniforms as shrouds. A generation's innocence was lost on blood-stained streets. Nepal would never be the same. How did a peaceful protest become a massacre? The official story blamed chaos, but journalists uncovered the truth in police radio transmissions. At 12:40 p.m., a calm voice, call sign Peter 1, authorized necessary force. The order, use live ammunition. No further permission needed. Peter 1 was Chandra Kuba Kapung, Inspector General of Police. The command came from the top. Within 2 hours, 4 protesters were dead. The order removed all restraint, unleashing deadly force. This was not chaos. It was a deliberate decision. The massacre was the result of a single chilling command. To understand the tragedy, we must see the faces behind the numbers. Sriam Chawagai, 17, put on his school uniform and promised his mother he'd be safe. He joined the protest for a better future, not to fight. Video footage shows him standing with friends, not throwing stones. As violence erupted, Sriam turned to leave. A bullet struck him in the head. He died instantly. Sriam was not a rioter, just a student in the wrong place. His story disproves claims that only violent protesters were targeted. His mother's grief is the nation's grief. Sriam was not just one of 19. He was a son, a friend, a future stolen. His memory is a reminder of the true cost of injustice. The massacre was not the end. It was the spark. News of the killings spread rapidly, igniting rage across Nepal. Protests exploded beyond Kathmandu. The country was on fire. Peaceful students were replaced by furious mobs. Parliament and the Supreme Court were attacked. Police stations burned. Politicians' homes looted. The government lost control. The Prime Minister resigned. The social media ban was lifted. But it was too late. The state was collapsing. Prisons were emptied, armories looted, anarchy loomed. The army imposed a nationwide curfew. Amid chaos, young protest leaders coordinated on Discord, choosing Sushila Kaki as interim Prime Minister. She was respected for her integrity and anti-corruption stance. On September 12th, she was sworn in. A movement born online had toppled a government. The digital uprising achieved its goal, but at a terrible cost. Nepal was forever changed. After the fury, silence and grief settled over Nepal, the nation counted its dead, over 70 killed, 2,000 injured. Families mourned, desperate for answers. Who gave the order? Why were their children killed? The new government promised justice, launching a judicial inquiry. Months passed. Hope faded. As of February 2026, no one has been held accountable. The Inspector General remains free. Officers keep their jobs. Only protesters from later riots have been arrested. The lack of justice is a deep wound. Families grieve, knowing their children's killers walk free. Nepal waits, wondering if justice will ever come. Nepal stands at a crossroads. New elections are set for March 2026. Hope and uncertainty fill the air. The uprising swept away a corrupt political class, giving youth a voice. But the shadow of September 8th remains. 19 lives lost, justice unserved. A nation cannot move forward without confronting its past. The story of the Gen Z uprising is unfinished until there is accountability. We must remember the mother who believed in her son's uniform, the chants that turned to screams, the order to shoot, and Sriam Chawagai's final moments. These are stories of loss, courage, and the price of freedom. Even after destruction, new life can grow. Nepal's youth showed resilience and forced change. Their story is now part of the world's struggle for justice. Remembering them is the soil for a better future. This chapter is unfinished. It's up to all of us to see how it ends.